Feminine allure doesn't fade with age. You can still possess it at 60, 65, even beyond. And when you know how to own it, men will always find ways to reach you, even putting in tremendous effort to win you over. But what exactly makes a mature woman so magnetically attractive? I'm Vernon. Today, I'll share 4 feminine qualities that become wildly attractive to men, not when you're 25 and uncertain, but when you're wise, whole, and no longer seeking anyone's approval to exist fully in your own skin. The feminine qualities that truly magnetize men aren't about youth, perfect skin, or playing games. They're about depth, presence, and the kind of quiet power that only comes with emotional maturity. These are timeless traits that don't diminish with age. They become more potent, more refined, more irresistible. Before we dive into these powerful qualities, make sure to like and subscribe, because building meaningful love, connection, and confidence after 60 is a journey we're walking together. Now, let's begin with the first quality that makes men stop in their tracks, and it has nothing to do with volume.
1. Soft confidence. Calm, not loud. One quality that captivates men, especially mature men who've grown tired of drama and noise, is what I call soft confidence. This isn't the brash, attention-seeking energy that demands to be noticed. This is something far more sophisticated. It's the kind of presence that doesn't need to announce itself because it's already impossible to ignore. I'm talking about the woman who walks into a room and doesn't need to be the loudest voice to command attention. Her energy is magnetic precisely because it's controlled, intentional, grounded. She's not trying to prove anything to anyone. She simply exists in her own power. And that authenticity draws people like a flame draws moths. This soft confidence manifests in small but profound ways. She speaks when she has something meaningful to say, not to fill silence. She asks for what she needs without apology, but she doesn't demand or manipulate. When she disagrees, she does so with grace rather than aggression. When she's complimented, she receives it gracefully instead of deflecting or fishing for more. Men, particularly those who've matured emotionally, find this energy incredibly attractive because it signals emotional intelligence and self-possession. It tells them this is a woman who knows her worth without needing constant validation, who can hold her own space without invading theirs. There's a reason this kind of presence feels so different and so unforgettable. Most men have encountered women who mistake volume for strength, who confuse aggression with confidence, who believe they need to compete for attention. But soft confidence is different. It's magnetic because it's secure. Think about it. When you're in the presence of someone who is genuinely comfortable in their own skin, who doesn't need to prove anything, who radiates calm strength, don't you find yourself naturally drawn to that energy? It's peaceful, yet powerful, gentle, yet unshakable. This quality becomes particularly attractive after 60 because it can only come from lived experience. A younger woman might try to fake this kind of confidence, but authentic, soft confidence is earned through decades of learning who you are and what you're worth. It's forged through surviving life's storms and discovering you're stronger than you knew. Men recognize this immediately because they can sense the difference between performed confidence and authentic self-possession. They're drawn to women who've done the inner work, who've learned to trust themselves, who've stopped seeking external validation for their worth. Soft confidence creates space for others to be themselves too. Unlike aggressive confidence that can feel threatening or competitive, soft confidence is inviting. It says, "I'm secure enough in myself that I don't need to diminish you to feel powerful." This creates an environment where genuine connection can flourish. Men feel safe to let their guard down around a woman with soft confidence because she's not trying to change them, fix them, or compete with them. She's simply being herself and allowing them the same freedom. As Maya Angelou understood so beautifully, speaking as if she were sitting beside you, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. But soft confidence gives you the courage to tell your story without apology, and the wisdom to let others tell theirs. So, tell me, have you ever met someone whose quiet confidence completely shifted the energy in the room? Or maybe you've been that woman yourself. Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how soft strength has shown up in your life. But it's not just her presence, it's how she responds to others that really shifts the room.
2. Emotional grace. She handles conflict without chaos. Virginia Woolf once observed, as if speaking directly to your heart, "For most of history, Anonymous was a woman. But emotional grace allows a woman to be fully known without losing herself in the process." What makes men deeply attracted to mature women is emotional grace, the ability to navigate conflict, tension, and difficult emotions without creating chaos or drama. This isn't about being passive or avoiding confrontation. It's about having the emotional intelligence to address problems while maintaining your dignity and composure. My friend Catherine was a woman I worked with years ago. She embodied this quality perfectly and was married to a man who had a tendency to raise his voice when stressed. Instead of matching his energy or shutting down completely, she would do something remarkable. She would lower her voice and speak more slowly, not in a condescending way, but with genuine calm. I watched her handle a particularly heated discussion about finances one evening. Her husband was frustrated, speaking loudly about their budget concerns. Instead of getting defensive or escalating the situation, Catherine said quietly, "I can see this is really worrying you. Let's sit down and look at the numbers together." Her tone was warm but steady,
acknowledging his feelings while redirecting towards solutions. What happened next was beautiful to witness. His volume decreased to match hers. The tension in the room shifted from adversarial to collaborative. They ended up having one of the most productive financial conversations of their marriage, all because she had the emotional grace to respond rather than react. This is what emotional grace looks like in practice. It's the ability to stay centered when others are spinning, to respond with wisdom rather than impulse, to address problems without creating bigger ones. It's not about being perfect or never feeling upset. It's about having the emotional maturity to choose your responses consciously. It's not hard to see why emotional steadiness becomes so appealing, especially to men who've grown tired of drama. A woman who navigates challenges with grace doesn't just avoid unnecessary conflict, she brings a sense of calm and clarity that invites real connection. Why does this draw men in? Because emotional steadiness is the foundation of trust. When a man knows that his partner can handle difficult conversations, conflicts, and stressful situations with composure, he feels free to be vulnerable, to share his concerns, to disagree when necessary without fear of explosive reactions. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or avoiding difficult topics. True emotional grace actually requires deep emotional intelligence, the ability to feel your feelings fully while choosing how to express them constructively. It's about having enough self-awareness to recognize when you're triggered and enough self-control to respond from a place of wisdom rather than woundedness. After 60, this quality becomes particularly magnetic because it can only be developed through experience. Young women might have moments of emotional grace, but sustained emotional maturity comes from navigating decades of relationships, conflicts, losses, and challenges. It's wisdom earned through living. Men recognize this immediately because they can sense when a woman has done her emotional work. They're drawn to women who've learned to regulate their emotions not by suppressing them, but by understanding them deeply enough to express them skillfully. Emotional balance creates trust, but there's something even more quietly magnetic.
3. Receptivity without neediness. After all, true connection isn't about losing yourself. It's about knowing you can be open and still whole. Some women radiate strength in silence, others in softness, but the rarest are those who can open their hearts without losing themselves. That's the beauty of receptivity without neediness, the quiet power of receiving love without needing it to survive. This quality is magnetic because it strikes the perfect balance between availability and autonomy. She can receive compliments gracefully without fishing for more. She appreciates gestures of care without becoming dependent on them. She's open to love without chasing it desperately. Most men have encountered two extremes that exhaust them: women who are so guarded they can't receive anything, and women who are so needy that they want to consume everything. But receptivity without neediness is different. It's like encountering a garden that's both lush and self-sustaining. Healthy attraction lives in paradox. A man wants to feel needed, yet he's most drawn to the woman who doesn't need him, but chooses him anyway. Men want to feel valued and appreciated for what they offer, but they also want to feel like their partner would be okay without them. It might sound contradictory, but it's actually the foundation of healthy attraction. When a woman can receive his care without becoming dependent on it, his generosity feels like a choice rather than an obligation. This quality manifests in beautiful ways. This woman says thank you for open doors while remaining perfectly capable of handling her own. Flowers bring genuine joy, but forgotten gestures don't bring sulking. Romantic dinners are treasured, yet constant entertainment isn't required for feeling loved. His opinion matters, but his approval isn't needed for decision-making. As Lao Tzu understood so deeply, speaking as if he were sharing wisdom over tea, the sage does not attempt anything very big, and thus achieves greatness, and receptivity without neediness achieves the greatness of love without the smallness of desperation. What makes this particularly attractive after 60 is that it can only come from a woman who has learned to fulfill herself emotionally. She's discovered that her happiness doesn't depend on any one person's attention or affection. This isn't coldness or detachment. It's the warm confidence of someone who knows she's whole, with or without a relationship. Men find this incredibly attractive because it removes the pressure to be someone's entire source of happiness. Instead of feeling like they're responsible for her emotional well-being, they feel invited to contribute to a life that's already rich and fulfilling. This quality also creates space for genuine appreciation. When a woman is needy, her gratitude feels obligatory. She has to be thankful because she's dependent. But when a woman is genuinely independent, her appreciation feels authentic because it comes from choice, not desperation. The difference is palpable. Neediness says, I can't be happy without you. Receptivity without neediness says, I'm happy with my life and you make it even better. One feels like a burden, the other feels like a gift. This doesn't mean being unavailable or playing hard to get. True receptivity is warm, welcoming, and genuinely appreciative, but it's grounded in self-sufficiency rather than desperation. It's the difference between a woman who lights up when he calls and a woman who falls apart when he doesn't. Share this with a woman who no longer begs to be chosen, because she already chose herself. But there's one more quality that's rare, but when a woman has it, she becomes unforgettable. 4. Playful stillness. She can laugh, but she's not distracted. Pablo Picasso once said, speaking as naturally as if he were your friend, every child is an artist, but the problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. And playful stillness is the art of keeping your inner lightness while gaining outer wisdom. The fourth and perhaps most enchanting quality that men find wildly attractive in mature women is what I call playful stillness. This is the rare combination of being able to laugh, be spontaneous, and maintain a sense of wonder, while also being deeply grounded, present, and emotionally centered. This isn't the manic energy of someone trying to prove they're still young, nor is it the forced cheerfulness of someone avoiding their depth.
Playful stillness is something far more sophisticated. It's the joy that comes from being genuinely comfortable with yourself, combined with the presence that comes from being fully engaged with life. A woman with playful stillness might burst into laughter at something genuinely funny, but she's not constantly seeking entertainment or distraction. She can be spontaneous and adventurous, but she's not restless or scattered. She has a lightness of spirit that doesn't depend on external stimulation. It bubbles up from an inner well of contentment. Men find this quality absolutely magnetic because it suggests emotional health and authentic joy. It tells them this is a woman who hasn't been hardened by life's difficulties, who hasn't lost her capacity for wonder and delight, but who also isn't flighty or irresponsible. The psychology behind this attraction is fascinating. Most people lose their playfulness as they age, becoming either rigid and serious or desperately trying to recapture their youth through immature behavior. But playful stillness represents a third option, the ability to maintain childlike wonder within adult wisdom. This power manifests in beautiful ways. She might suggest a spontaneous drive to watch the sunset, but she's also the person you'd want with you in a crisis. She can be silly and laugh at herself, but she's not self-deprecating or attention-seeking. She finds joy in simple moments, but doesn't need constant stimulation to feel alive. What makes this particularly attractive after 60 is that it represents a kind of emotional freedom that can only come with age. When you've survived loss, disappointment, and life's inevitable challenges, choosing joy becomes a conscious act of courage rather than naive optimism. Men recognize this immediately because they can sense the difference between authentic playfulness and performed youth. Real playful stillness has depth underneath the lightness. It's joy that's been tested and chosen, not happiness that's never been challenged. This quality creates an atmosphere of ease and enjoyment that's incredibly attractive. Being with a woman who has playful stillness feels refreshing because she's not heavy with unresolved issues, nor is she frantically trying to avoid them. She's present, engaged, and genuinely delightful to be around. But perhaps most importantly, playful stillness is attractive because it's contagious. It gives men permission to access their own lightness, their own capacity for joy and spontaneity. In a world that often feels heavy and serious, being with someone who embodies playful stillness feels like coming home to a part of yourself you might have forgotten.
By this moment, you've uncovered 4 feminine qualities that have nothing to do with youth, flawless looks, or playing games, and everything to do with emotional depth, authentic presence, and the quiet strength that only life experience can teach. Soft confidence that commands attention without demanding it. Emotional grace that handles conflict without creating chaos. Receptivity without neediness that welcomes love without chasing it. And playful stillness that maintains joy without losing depth. These aren't traits you need to develop or acquire. They're qualities that naturally emerge when you stop apologizing for who you are and start embracing the woman you've become. They're the fruits of emotional maturity, the gifts of lived experience, the magnetism that comes from being genuinely comfortable in your own skin. The beautiful truth is that these qualities become more attractive with age, not less. While society might try to convince you that your power diminishes after 60, the reality is quite different. Your feminine magnetism deepens, becomes more refined, more authentic, more irresistible to men who have the emotional intelligence to recognize genuine quality. You don't have to become someone else to be magnetic. You just have to become more of who you are, without apology, without shrinking, without dimming your light to make others comfortable. Rumi once wrote with timeless wisdom, "Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray." And the same is true for letting others be drawn to the authentic magnetism of who you truly are. Do you recognize these qualities in yourself? Have you experienced the power of embracing your feminine magnetism without apology? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story. And before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on reclaiming your power and magnetism at every stage of life. The journey doesn't stop here. Check out the videos in the description for more insights into building meaningful relationships and embracing who you are, fully and unapologetically. And I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching my video.